Hello YouTube, this is Flights in Asia and I'm back with another video detailing the current updates as of now related to the ongoing pandemic and the aviation and travel industry in the Asia Pacific. In earlier videos, I've discussed several airlines and I have created a playlist, and this might be a recurring series as the aviation and travel industry recovers from this pandemic. So to get started, we are going to go to different countries around the Asia Pacific, and we're going to start with Indonesia with the situation there in Jakarta and the rest of Indonesia right now. Originally scheduled to see the flight suspensions, including domestic flights, until June 1, though now they are easing these restrictions for certain travel to include family emergencies and business trips, provided that there is a valid reason. So basically, I'm going to read this out here. A circular from the National Disaster Management Agency issued on Tuesday said travels for family emergencies, repatriation of foreign citizens out of Indonesia, and repatriations of Indonesian citizens from overseas will be allowed during the pandemic. So there are these are not gonna allow for majority of travel, but these are gonna be a controlled kind of travel for at least until June. Now, originally this was supposed to be an outright ban, and this is actually promising news, though this is still very small and minuscule. So far, Garuda and Lion Air are starting up for these flights to serve these purposes. Still, there are checkpoints at major stops, including the bus stations, the ports throughout Indonesia, and also airports as well. So for those who are traveling in emergencies, especially for family reasons and medical, they do need a referral letter from hospitals, and also for the family deaths, a death certificate. Now, this might be an issue because you're dealing with copies, and in some cases there may be family members who may not be in the same place, especially if you're flying in. So that might create some problems with getting the authenticity of the documents. So that's going to be something to look into. Now, after Indonesia, the next airline I want to go into is actually not airline. The country and airline is Turkey. I'm going to talk about Turkish Airlines and connecting travel with these Middle East carriers. So Turkish Airlines, not really Middle Eastern, they're more of a Eurasian in between Europe and Asia. And right now, Turkish Airlines, as of now, all flights have been suspended until May 28th. So this is the latest update from the website of Turkish Airlines. Now, in terms of the Middle East carriers, they are operating repatriation flights, and one of them is Qatar Airways. Now, Qatar Airways is continuing operations, and actually there is, to an extent, some... Let me go to their page here. They are going through some... how should I say this? I'm sorry. They are going to conduct some of their limited schedule and flights. So within the Asia Pacific, they are operating flights to Bangkok, Hong Kong, Jakarta, Kuala Lumpur, Seoul, Singapore, and Tokyo. And Australia, they are also operating flights to Sydney, Melbourne, and Perth. And this also goes along with Colombo. I forgot about Colombo, Sri Lanka. So with that, there is some limited services, and you can see the complete list of destinations that they are flying to from. And the majority of them looks like within Europe, and I believe these are also to serve as regularly. I'm not sure if these are all regularly scheduled flights or they are only for repatriation purposes. So again, like many of these airlines, you do need immigration approval to land in the final destination. So this is something that if you are stranded somewhere, especially getting back transcontinental flights, this is a good thing for you. And so yeah, with that said, and I think that it's going to be similar for airlines like Emirates and Etihad. So the next country we are going to be going to is Japan and the All Nippon Airways group of carriers. And right now, All Nippon Airways, from my notes here, they are operating limited international flights. Now, domestic flights, as I mentioned in the first video of this series, uh, domestic Haneda, there are flights out of Haneda and Itami to select cities like Kansai, Fukuoka, Kobe, Naha. In terms of international flights, it is a bit divided between Narita and Haneda, as we all know that their operations are in Tokyo, especially the vast majority of their flights. And we can just take a look here, for example, in their website on the section for East Asia. There are limited services to Hong Kong, and I know this is a little bit. Let me try to see if I can make this bigger for you, so you can actually see the full schedule. For the month of May right now, there's either twice a week. So right now, this week, May 11 to May 7th, May 16, you have twice a week on Tuesday and Friday. So today is one of those flights to Hong Kong and another one on Friday. And then the rest of the month seems like to be a once a week schedule. And also Shanghai will see once a week services from Narita. I'm gonna summarize it here because I'm gonna be going through different different tabs here, and it's gonna take a bit of time. So in short, All Nippon Airways out of Narita, you'll have flights to Shanghai, Hong Kong, to New York and Chicago and Mexico City. Now, New York and Chicago will be twice weekly, while Mexico City will see thrice weekly flights. And from select cities in Southeast Asia, they're going to be only one-way return flights, so they're going to bring the aircraft to these airports of Bangkok, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, Singapore, and Jakarta. And then that's going to be the only flights coming back will have passengers, probably, and I'm assuming these are going to be repatriation flights. Out of Haneda, on the other hand, there's going to be flights to Manila, Sydney, Los Angeles, Vancouver, London, and Frankfurt. Now, most of these flights will be twice or three times a week, though Los Angeles will be the exception with apparently daily services. You can see on the calendar here, daily services until the end of the month. Okay, wait, sorry about that. So that's a good snapshot of what All Nippon Airways is going through right now. In terms of All Nippon Airways, another thing to note that they also mentioned that two routes that they are planning to operate and to open up, Haneda to Shenzhen and Milan, will be postponed until a later date. Now I'm going to go to another carrier within the All Nippon Airways group, which is Peach Aviation, and they are still operating some flights, but due to the emergency declaration by the Japanese government, we are seeing some suspensions of flights here. So we are seeing varying dates of suspension until I know there are some flights that are operating, though most of them are going to be suspended until May 31st, the end of the month. So this is the list of flights, and this is affecting domestic flights between Osaka, Kansai, Tokyo, Narita, Fukuoka, excuse the dogs in the background, Sendai. And also there are international flights that they are suspending, including flights from Japan to Shanghai and Hong Kong, Taiwan as well, Kaohsiung, Seoul, and Bangkok. Yeah, if you want to take a look at this, you can go look at their website. And now the next airline I will be discussing actually is Asiana. And Asiana is an interesting case, and we know Korean Air is increasing flights. They announced plans to increase flights, and Asiana is going through their own financial situation. So in addition to the COVID-19 outbreak and pandemic, they are also dealing with the situation of their own finances and the current transition between the ownership from Kumho Group to the Hyundai Development Corporation. So in short, Asiana will be operating limited flights to Hong Kong, Narita, Manila, Jakarta, Phnom Penh, San Francisco, and Frankfurt. And right now, and also you can take a look at their schedule. They are seeing some little notes here. They are operating rescue flights to and from Sydney, Cebu, Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh, and Bangkok, as well as Taipei. So for example, Taipei here has operations of OZ 712 between twice weekly. So I'm assuming, and for the most part, it says here it's suspended, the temporary schedule, but here you have like some operational twice weekly schedule here. And I believe this is just between Taipei to Incheon. So that aircraft will go to Taipei without passengers and bring back, or possibly cargo, and have that passenger repatriation flight. on the way back. And the same we could see on to Manila here. Now Manila makes notes here on the suspension of domestic, I mean the international flights suspension uh, last week. So this is a note here, and for the most part 3 times a week. Cebu here, this is probably, and it says here a Cebu Incheon between OZ 7103 on an otherwise suspended route. Bangkok as well on the top here, OZ 742. For more information, you can take a look at this, and that's very much with All Nippon Airways. And also Sydney. Here we go. Here, interestingly, I think this is a round trip rescue flights on the 22nd of May. Or no, actually, one-way trips, I believe. And then on the way back, Sydney. So there's going to be like some situations where they're just taking an aircraft to a destination and doing a one-way. Now, the last airline I will be discussing is a country that I'm not really covering as much, and that's India. And right now, Air India, most of their operations are suspended, though they are operating limited rescue flights to select cities around the world. So, for example, they started this on May 7th, and I believe the last flights are going to go until, for this schedule at least, so far we're seeing May 17th, so that's going to end by the end of this week. So the last one will be Chicago to Delhi. So they are operating flights from Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Bengaluru, among other cities in India, to select cities in Singapore, San Francisco, Newark, Washington, D.C., Kuala Lumpur, London, Kuwait, and Riyadh. And actually, there's an interesting note to make that they are operating flights to a destination that they don't serve regularly, which is Manila. So you see it here on today, actually, tonight. Air India 1375 Manila to Delhi. Tonight, 10:30 22:30 or 10:30 p.m. So these are one of those situations. And again, they'll be doing a Manila Delhi flight again to tomorrow night as well, Manila time. Here we go. And also Manila to Chennai. So interesting enough that they're using aircraft to operate these rescue flights to Manila, of all places that they don't normally serve. And you have the regular, besides the regular destinations, so Dhaka, Kuwait, Riyadh, so other cities. Complete list could be seen. Yeah, so very much this is the current updates. I think this will be a recurring series every weekly, I think, unless there's major headlines. And I think this is just I do want to make these videos because this is a very important thing to highlight what's going on, and because this is a channel about the news and updates of the aviation and travel scene in the Asia Pacific. I want to mention the recovery period, and this is the best way I think right now how to go over the efforts of recovery and rescue flights that these airlines are operating, and give you an idea, and if you need to know what's going on. Now, an interesting country that we should see is we're waiting is the Philippines. Actually, we are waiting for an official announcement to see if the lockdown orders in Manila, the enhanced community quarantine, will be lifted or be modified to allow flights out of Manila. And especially Manila is an important hub for the major Philippine-based carriers of Air Asia's operations, the Philippines Air Asia, Cebu Pacific, and Philippine Airlines, who have not been operating since mid-March or mid to late March. And very interesting to see if the Philippine government will allow these airlines to operate at a limited basis, which I think that's going to be something to watch for next week. So unless other things happen, I think this is very much it. I hope you enjoyed this video and this was informing. If you want to get more updates like this and other non-pandemic related updates and content related to the aviation and travel scene in the Asia Pacific, feel free to like, comment, and most importantly, definitely would love to ask if you would love to subscribe to this channel, I mean. Once again, thank you very much. This has been Flights in Asia signing out. Have a great day.